Well, it's great to be here at Comdex. It's a chance for us every year to get together and see all the change that's been taking place. And with this fast-moving industry, the pace of change has never been greater. In fact, we can find change everywhere today. With last Tuesday's election, even Bill Clinton and the Democrats are facing some change. The changes now are being discussed not simply in the context of data processing or the computer industry, but in a much broader context, in the context of how we communicate, how we organize, how we educate, how we run business. And the changes that will be brought by this will go well beyond the group we find here. However, this industry will be at the center of all of it. With its software innovation, its competitive hardware, will be shaping this so-called information highway. Now, this next era that we're moving into is quite different than the original PC era. That one was done simply by having a few companies that believed, spring it on the world, and it was a complete surprise. Here we have thousands of companies, and it's talked about all the time. You can hardly pick up a magazine without reading about what's going on here. Now, it's often cast in the light of who's doing a deal with who, what companies are getting together, and who's getting ahead, who's winning, who's losing. And I don't think that's really the context that helps us understand where we ought to go. I think the best approach is to really look at what will it be like once it's pervasive, what will the benefits be, and then step back from there to see how we can get out to that. So I decided to take this year's speech and dedicate it to that vision, to showing those scenarios. Now that means I'm going to go this full hour without mentioning a single Microsoft product, if I can control myself, that is, and really just look out ahead. Now, I did do this one other time in 1990 when I introduced the original information at your fingertips concept. There I had some fun scenarios where people were doing a lot of things, and most of what I showed there has already come true. Object orientation, document centricity, fax, mail integration, improved ease of use. One notable thing I had in there that has not taken place is that I was showing the use of pen computing, a tablet computer where the signature was being put in and the notes were being recognized. I still believe very much that that will happen and will be important, but that's one case where the time frame wasn't exactly right. The last 4 years have seen very substantial growth in this business. Every year, the increase is fantastic because we're at a selling rate worldwide of over 40 million PCs a year. And many people had predicted that we had reached saturation, that there wasn't the opportunity to keep going. And yet, whether it's in business or home or in education, the growth has been there, and I expect that to continue. So it is a very healthy situation. Lots of winners and losers, but an industry that's not only growing by a revenue point of view, which we see here, but also as the prices are coming down, having a broader and broader impact to empower people with very rich information tools. Key to this growth is the pace of innovation. And one way that we can see that that's most dramatic is by looking at what's happened to the microprocessor. Going back to the original PC, we see that 8088 had 0.33 MIPS of capability. Well, it only let us do a very limited number of things. With the 286, we got enough power that we could move up and do applications that had never been done on 8-bit PCs. The 386 that came in 1986 for the first time allowed us to do graphical interface, and that's where Microsoft and many companies put out graphical type products which have now moved into the mainstream. After the 386, we moved up to the 486, taking us to 20 MIPS. And here we started to see collaborative applications, sharing of rich information between applications, machines that could really run those applications together and give you substantial benefits. And now this year we've seen the emergence of the latest generation, the Pentium, that takes us over to 100 MIPS. Now that pace of improvement is exponential improvement. It's not just linear increases, it's exponential. And it's very hard for us to appreciate what that means. In fact, this pace is going to continue. So as we look out ahead, it's hard to say specifically what the performance will be, but there will be incredible performance that applications will be able to take advantage of. And we'll use that to the benefit of the user, to search out the important information, to provide new interface techniques. There is no slowing as we look at the next decade in terms of the processor speed or memory size or storage capabilities of these systems. And so it's really up to us to think, how do we want to take advantage of that? Of course, at the center of this will be the idea of digital convergence. That is, taking all the information, books, catalogs, shopping approaches, professional advice, art, movies, and taking those things in their digital form, ones and zeros, and being able to provide them on demand on a device looking like a TV, a small device you carry around, or what the PC will evolve into. All of these form factors will count, but we'll need to have a common architecture so we can take all the authoring, the work done to prepare this media, and make it easily available to people using these different devices. And so this is what we're reading about all the time with all the different stories. And the communications companies have to think about this because it is their future. Media companies from TV to cable to Hollywood studios need to get involved because it is their future. The consumer electronics industry is coming into this and will need to be one of the ones building these devices. And certainly for the PC industry, this is what it's all about. Lots of advances, lots of things that we can draw on to have growth in the years ahead. So even at 40 million units a year, we still have lots of frontiers to conquer and lots of impact. Now this video I've put together relates to the title of today's speech, which is Information at Your Fingertips 2005. I picked that year not because that's when you'll finally start to see these things happening. I picked it because I think that's a time frame where these devices will be pervasive, that people will expect them. There will be everyone using them. So small businesses, consumers of all types will have them, and the critical mass of information will be there to make them very straightforward to work with and get a lot of power out of. And so this 2005 is a decade away. I think there's a lot of people who are going to say that I've been too conservative here because, in fact, I'm not showing any technologies that need to be invented anew. Everything here you can find in some limited form already. Some people will criticize this as being too far out, too futuristic. And as long as I get a balance of people criticizing it equally on both counts, I'll feel like I've hit the right point. If we look to our past, our belief in graphical interface, which we announced in 1983, it took 7 years to happen. Our belief in CD-ROM technology, where we held our first conference talking about that in 1986, it's only this year that you can say that's taken place. So we're often optimistic, but I think the key here is not so much the specific year, but having the scenarios in mind and having an agreement as an industry on what the opportunities look like. So let's go ahead and start the story that I prepared.